this is about the donor. What is the absolute contraindication? So let's say if at all the BMI of the donor is more than 40. If the donor is suffering from diabetes, no, not really. We cannot take the kidney. Now, then there are a few absolute contraindications. So what is an absolute contraindications for the renal transplant? And this I'm talking about the donor over here. Okay. So we have talked about the recipient. This is about the donor. What is the absolute contraindication? So let's say if at all the BMI of the donor is more than 40. If the donor is suffering from diabetes, no, not really. We cannot take the kidney. If at all there is an active malignant disease, obviously not. If the donor is having an HIV disease, obviously we cannot take that, okay? If at all the recipient is having an HIV, it is not an absolute contraindication. If at all the CD4 count is more than 200, we can go ahead with the transplantation. But if at all the donor is having an HIV positivity, obviously we cannot take it because it is going to transmit that particular disease to the recipient. Okay, GFR less than 70. Okay, GFR less than 70, that is a global GFR I'm talking about. Okay, both the kidneys included. Okay, if at all the global GFR is kind of less than 70, normally it's around 120. So yeah, if at all it is kind of both the kidneys, if at all the GFR is kind of less than 70, we cannot go ahead with the transplantation. Absolute contraindication. Now, significant albuminuria, so that is why we perform something which is called as a protein to creatinine ratio. We basically check for the urine albumin levels in that. Then hypertension requiring multiple medications. So if at all there is a hypertension present in the donor, which is controlled by a single medicine, we can go ahead with the transplant. But if at all multiple medicines are required to kind of control the BP, we cannot go ahead with the transplantation of this. Then pelvic or horseshoe kidney, obviously not. Significant psychiatric kind of impairment and nephrolithiasis with high chance of recurrence. So if at all, let's say there is a donor who is kind of having a stone, okay, or history of recurrent stones, then what we do, we go ahead with a complete metabolic workup for that particular patient. And if at all we come across some problem in the metabolic workup, then what we can do, we should not kind of accept that particular patient as a donor, because one kidney will be given to the recipient and one kidney will be present with the donor. And if at all the recurrent stones are formed over here, the donor might land up into ESRD. So yeah, these are the absolute contraindications. All are logical if you kind of just think about that. But yeah, I hope you have understood the reason behind it. So those were the absolute contraindications. Now let's talk about the relative contraindications. So what are the relative contraindications for the donor? The relative contraindications for the donor are, let's say if at all there is an impaired glucose tolerance test. Okay, so there is no proper sure diabetes, but the patient is having an impaired glucose tolerance test. If at all the GFR is between 70 to 80, so less than 70 is an absolute contraindication, but relative contraindication is basically between 70 to 80. So ideally we should have the global GFR of more than 80, but even if we have 70 to 80, we can still accept it. Hypertension, okay, as I told you, hypertension controlled with a single medicines, and the BMI more than 35. More than 40 absolute contraindication, more than 35 is kind of still acceptable. Okay, now let's talk about the surgery per se. So we perform two surgeries, like whenever, obviously when we are performing a renal transplantation, we have to perform a donor nephrectomy and then we have to perform a recipient surgery. So when we are performing a donor nephrectomy, either we can go ahead with a laparoscopic or an open method. Okay, so if at all somebody wants to take a kidney, they can take it by the laparoscopic donor nephrectomy or an open donor nephrectomy. What is preferred? Laparoscopic donor nephrectomy. That is what is a standard of care. Please remember that. Okay, now when we talk about the recipient surgery, so the traditional method of doing a kind of a recipient surgery is an open surgery. But let's say in last 5 years, at least in India in last 5 years, there are a few centers which have started to perform a robotic renal transplantation. Now, robotic kidney transplantation is something which is beneficial if at all there is a recipient is obese, and obviously the pain and all those particular stuff will be lesser with the robotic transplant. But they have a specific indication is basically if at all the patient is obese, then there is a definitive indication of performing a robotic kidney transplantation. Okay, now let's talk about the donor nephrectomy. So let's say if at all we have a donor, what do you think? Which kidney should be taken, right or left? So if at all given the option, obviously we would prefer to go ahead with the left kidney. And I'm sure that you guys must be knowing the reason for that. Why do you want to take a left kidney? Because it is having a larger left renal vein, obviously, right? We want a bigger vein so that we can be a bit more leisure in the anastomosis and everything. Okay, so this is preferred because it is having a longer kind of your left renal vein. That's fine. But But the decision is basically based on two main factors, like whether to take a left or right. It is basically based on two main factors. If at all these two particular kind of factors are kind of same in both the kidneys, then we prefer to go with the left one. So first is differential function. So this is what we talked about as a global GFR, 70 to 80 ml per minute per kind of whatever 1.72 meters square. That is what was your global GFR. But when we talk about the differential GFR basically means that out of the total, how much is the right and the left kidney individually contributing. So if at all the difference in this particular contribution is more than 10 ml per second, then what you really need to understand, we have to kind of take the kidney which is performing a bit lesser, because the better kidney always stays with the donor. This is the general dictum what you need to understand. Okay, so we'll talk about this. Yeah, another is number of vessels. So because you want to kind of assess the number of vessels, we have to perform a CT or angiography. This is to be done in every donor. So when you perform a CT angiography, you basically look at the vessels, if at all it's a single vessel or a double vessel or something. So we prefer to go with the single vessel transplantation. Okay, so that's what you need to understand. Okay, now let's talk about the basic dictum. So the basic dictum is better kidney stays with the donor. That is a basic dictum. So I'm giving you two examples over here. Let's say the total GFR is 80 ml per second. That's fine. And out of that, the left is basically having 45, the right is having 35. In this particular scenario, we will take the right kidney because the better kidney stays with the donor. Okay, got it? Another example. Let's say there is a patient who is having stone in the right kidney. Which kidney we will take for the donor transplantation? We will take the right kidney. Why? Because in the left kidney there is no stone, so better kidney stays with the donor. Okay, I hope you understood that particular dictum. Now if at all we are taking the right kidney and the right kidney is having the stone, then what you do? Before you transplant that kidney into the recipient, what you do? You basically remove that particular stone by whatever means, like URS or RRS or whatever. You want to kind of remove that particular stone from the kidney and then you go ahead with the transplantation. Okay, pretty simple, nothing great. Just understand, just remember that basic dictum, better kidney stays with the donor. Okay, obviously. Right, now let's talk about the donor nephrectomy. I already told you that laparoscopic surgery is the standard of care, open. Very few people basically perform nowadays. Overall, laparoscopic donor nephrectomy is the standard of care. Obviously, every surgery has its own complication rate. So even then the laparoscopic donor nephrectomy, we can have like few of the complications. Just remember, mortality rate is still there, like 0.03, but still there is a mortality with the laparoscopic donor nephrectomy. It is very less, 0.03, but still it is there. Now, let's talk about the, yeah, I already told you that the left is preferred, but again, the better kidney stays with the donor. And yeah, this is something which you might remember. So when you are kind of clipping the hilum, okay, so when you are kind of taking care of the hilum of the kidney because you want to kind of resect it, Hemolog clips are contraindicated. So hemolog clips, which we usually use when we are performing a surgery or something, they're contraindicated because studies have shown that, okay, they might kind of slip off. Okay, so that is why hemolog clips are contraindicated. What do we go ahead with? It's a vascular stapler. So vascular stapler is something which is preferred for donor nephrectomy. Does it make sense, guys? Yeah. So vascular stapler is something which is kind of preferred for the donor nephrectomy. Now, when we are evaluating kind of the donor, okay, I told you that we perform a CT angiography. Based on the CT angiography, we might have multiple renal arteries, right? 1 or 2 or 3 accessory renal arteries, we might have that. So in around 10 to 30% of the patients of the donor kidney, multiple renal arteries are encountered. Okay, if you encounter these, what are you going to do?